Yes, guys, I'm aware of it. Portal has released their latest album today, and on top of it, as a surprise piece, they have another album that was released today as well that's basically like a contemporary piece of the latest one that is just all mixed of dark ambient noise, sounds, and music on top of it. That basically, because of this double release, I've now had to change my pants twice the amount of times now. However the case, I do plan on doing an album review for the latest Portal album, obviously. The only thing is I kind of want to kick the habit of doing reviews the day of an album's release, because I've already done that now twice in a row for Human Serpent and the latest Unfell album. And I really want to digest the latest Portal album, that way I can do a respectful review for it. Speaking of Unfell, what we'll be playing in the background is the latest album by them, that being Esgrout. Love this album so much that I bought it twice. Yep, got the standard and special edition right here of the album. And one thing I just want to briefly go by with you guys really quickly within the packaging of this, mainly wanted to do it because Unfell starts with a U. We're on part 19 and we're just starting the G, so it's going to take a while till I get to the U's within my vinyl collection part. But in the gatefold right here, I don't know if you'll see that, it's a little bit spot glossed, they have a disclaimer, and I always find it funny because the previous album had a disclaimer too, kind of similar to it. But it says, "We would like to extend a flaming halberd and sever the heads of all Nazi, communist, and other ism scum that claim supremacy in some form or another. May you be trampled to death by our glorious Swiss cows. Unfell will never have a piece of your mental diarrhea." I love that because you might think they're just being like apolitical here or something like that, but I've noticed in some of the comments when you check out any Unfell release on YouTube, they'll have people like wondering if there's some type of nationalist or this or that, all because the lyrical themes are about Swiss folklore, and because of it being folklore, they automatically assume the worst that has something to do with nationalism. It's fucking ridiculous in this day and age when you can't even play music like Unfell, have it all about just literally folklore and fictional shit without people assuming the worst, which is fucking ridiculous. So I don't blame Unfell for always doing like these disclaimers, because again, they did it with the previous record too, but I always find that funny. I love that. May you be trampled to death by our glorious Swiss cows. That made me chuckle at first. Finally, with all that being said, now let's get back to showing some records within my vinyl collection. As I stated, this is part 19 and we are just starting the G's. So starting it off with the letter G is going to be Gallagher with their demo, I believe, which is Newest Volk. Hopefully saying that right. As you can clearly see just from the layout and packaging, it was put out through Go to Warwick's back when I bought everything that Danny ever posted with this distro that now I've been giving up on them. But yeah, all this really is just black metal. There's really nothing here else to talk about. Riffs are pretty solid, pretty raw for the most part. That just is aggressive, and that's kind of about it. Really, if you want to check this out, it's really meant for black metal fans, and that's it. As for the layout and packaging, we have album artwork, backside with track listings, limited to 100 copies. I got it hand numbered, number 40 out of 100, and just comes on standard black vinyl. Second up is going to be Genocide Organ with their latest album from 2016, I believe, Obituaries of the Americas. Genocide Organ, I would say, is one of the best places to start out with if you want to get familiarized with the sounds of death industrial. That, from my understanding of this genre, which don't take it fully from me, I might be off with some of the details, but it's basically like a very noisy, kind of like spoken word take of like noise music for the most part, that obviously has a lot of usage of industrial thrown in there. And Genocide Organ seems to be like one of the more respected names that is usually brought up when talking about this genre. But yeah, for the most part, Genocide Organ does some really interesting stuff because of it being so utilized with spoken word. It feels like, there's a certain type of structure going on here, and a lot of the noises and sounds and textures and transitions just feel like it has a flow to it that doesn't rely so much on improvisation, which has really always been the thing with noise in general that kind of like turns me off to the idea, because it just seems like, you know, you're just throwing shit at the wall and there's nothing really that interesting going on other than when you first listen to it and that's it. Genocide Organ always has like a replay value to it because of its structure. But yeah, I definitely need to get more by them because I know the label that they have, which is Tesco, one of the members of Genocide Organ runs it, has a lot of other records by them, I believe still in print, especially the debut, which is kind of like the fan favorite, is definitely something I need to get around to getting. But again, from my own personal experience, Genocide Organ is the place to go if you want to get into death industrial. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside, that says you are worthless in a region, you are worthless in all regions. Comes with an insert sheet with artwork and just some passages. As well too, comes with this card right here. I believe it's numbered 1190. I'm not sure if that's like the copy I got or something else to it. And just comes on standard black vinyl. Then I have the debut album by Genocide Shrines. These guys are a war metal band, if you want to call it that, blending black metal and death metal together, that are from Sri Lanka, out of all places, and this shit crushes hard. What I like about this so much is that it's a very simple but effective writing style, that, you know, it goes fast one moment, then it slows down the next moment to feel like, you know, there's some memorable parts. Like, again, it's very simple but very effective, and I think that's what really wins me over when bands play in this style that doesn't rely so much on just being fast and, you know, hectic all the time, like say maybe what Revenge or Black Witchery does. Bands like Genocide Shrines win me over when they know how to slow it down a bit and the riffs get catchy but still, you know, heavy and pulverizing. Really good stuff, and I really need to get more by them because I know, from what I've seen, they've been doing a lot of other splits, and I think they're working on a new album, so definitely have to keep an ear to the ground to that. But yeah, definitely check out Genocide Shrines, one of the very few black death bands I would recommend to you guys. But yeah, pretty sure it's still available through Iron Bonehead. Don't hold me to it, but that's where I got this copy a few years ago. Other than that, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, standard black vinyl, but does come with a lyric sheet along with a band photo. Oh boy, next up is a band that's probably going to take up at least over half the time being talked about with this vinyl collection part, but I've always been a fan of them ever since I was in high school, been a fan of them before they really even blew up, so yeah, it's just as simple as that. I've always liked this band. Next up is going to be Ghost with their debut album, Opus Eponymous. I love Ghost. I always have and I always will. I know a lot of people love to shit on them because their sound is easy, they're not heavy, they're more like a pop band. It's just Scooby-Doo chase music. It's just a Merciful Fate ripoff, which that one always pisses me off because nothing about Ghost sounds even remotely similar to the sound of Merciful Fate. The only thing they have in common is that both frontmen dress up in a costume at live shows. That is it. There is nothing similar about Ghost and Merciful Fate and King Diamond. Nothing at all. What I've always thought, and you can take this as a compliment or as an insult, I don't care, I've just always thought this was the truth, is that Ghost is basically the gothic ABBA. The melodies, the guitar riffs, the singing, the choruses are always so eerily similar to that of ABBA songs, alright? It literally is true. Ghost is gothic ABBA, and I think that's why they've won over so many fans without even trying, or people have even realized it, because, you know, the gods among men for compositional work for, you know, pop songs is ABBA. That's just a fucking truth, and Ghost is the gothic version of it, which is why so many people sing along to Ghost. That's why their melodies and their choruses just get drilled into your head, basically. and they found a formula that works for them. Because songs on here like Ritual, Elizabeth, Stand By Him, which is my personal favorite song, and Death Kneel, it's like, how can you not want to sing along with these tracks? So that's always been the thing that's won me over about Ghost all of these years. But anyway, as for this album right here, this is the closest they've ever been to just like a straight up metal band. It's like, you know, a mixture of metal and rock. I know some people like to say this was like a doom metal album. Not really. Like, there's some riffs, if you want to like nitpick, that kinda are similar of like doom metal, but nothing like full on. So it's kind of like diet doom metal, I guess, this album. I know that's not really a term we should use, but that's kind of like how I look at this particular album. But anyway, as for the layout and packaging, I believe this is a first press because it says Rise Above Records in the corner, so I'm pretty sure this is actually a first press. So for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold with the lyrics, and this vinyl edition comes on blue and white split. Looks pretty neat. So within my Ghost collection, not only do I have all the official full lengths and EPs, but I also have some bootlegs as well that I've come across over the years. One of them being Night of Ritual. This is a bootleg LP from a show they did in Chicago, Illinois back in April 13th, 2012. I got all these Ghost LPs bootlegs through Armageddon, surprisingly. I don't know how they always get them, but stumbled across them each time and figured I'd get them for the collection purpose of my vinyl collection, because a lot of these bootlegs are really hard to come by and they're going for really stupid money online. Not that I plan on selling any of them, but it's kind of like more like, you know, again, the novelty of owning these Ghost bootlegs more than anything else. But yeah, this is back when they were still a pretty small named band, because I'm pretty sure they were an opener. There's only 6 tracks listed on the set list, and it's all the songs from their debut album. But yeah, just got this for the collection purpose. As for the layout and packaging, it's a bootleg, so it doesn't really come with much. You have album artwork, backside, comes on a gray LP, limited to 300 copies. Another bootleg I have by Ghost is Invoking Our Master. This is a show they did on April 16th, 2012 in Knoxville, Tennessee. So this is like 4 days after the Chicago show, so I'm assuming it's on the same tour. And yeah, again, this is back when Ghost was a little named band, because they only played 6 tracks, all the songs from the debut album, and an intro called Masked Ball Intro, which, if memory serves me right, because I've seen Ghost live 4 times, usually what they do for the intros, they'll have like this ominous music playing, and all of the nameless ghouls will start to walk on stage, and then finally Papa Emeritus will come on stage. Emeritus, why did I say Emeritus? Papa Emeritus, God, comes up on stage on last, and that's how usually the show starts. But yeah, this is a bootleg, so again, the packaging is pretty bare bones. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with band photo and track listings, put out through Reek of Death Records, which is usually the distro or label that puts out all of these bootlegs. And this LP comes on yellowish orange, not really exactly sure what this color is, limited to 175 copies. Then I have the sophomore album by Ghost, that being Infestissima. This right here is the first ever record I bought with my own money that basically started all of this you see behind me. This right here is the first, the one that popped my little cherry for collecting records, if that's something of a term we want to use in this situation. But yes, in 2013 when I was in high school, this was such a big fucking deal for me getting this record, because I was so pumped, because they were also the first ever band I saw in concert, and they played at the Boston Royale is where I caught them, and that's a venue that holds up to like maybe 500 people max, And it's funny because, you know, recently when they did shows, they would sell out to, you know, venues of at least a couple of thousand. So, I don't know, it's just weird seeing them or remembering them playing at smaller venues because I know now they've gained so much popularity over the years. But yeah, first ever record I bought with my own money. I didn't even have a turntable for this. I remember playing it on my dad's turntable up in the attic, and shit, again, it was just such a big deal for me. Plus, I love this album. It's got tracks on here like Zombie Queen, Year Zero, Body and Blood, which, God, the amount of times I would listen to that song, and Monstrous Clock, which is a fan favorite. Just tracks I absolutely adore. Even though, from my memory serves me right, I remember when this album dropped, a lot of people were shitting on it so hard because the metal aspect about them really evaporated on here. It's more like a pop rock album because it sounds happier, and the usage of keyboards and synthesizers are used way more on this album than in the previous album. And again, just the metal aspect about them is completely gone. But for me, it's still a very catchy, infectious album. That's all it really needs to be for me personally. Other than that, the only thing I find weird about this is the parental advisory sticker right here. Like, what's the point of it? There's like nothing explicit at all about this album. I just always found that weird. But anyway, for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes on a gatefold with band picture and lyrics. And this LP pressing comes on semi-translucent red. Next up is going to be their EP, If You Have Ghosts. Basically bought this, again, for the collection aspect because I was never really crazy for the Ghost EPs. And really what sold me about it was Newberry Comics at the time had like a sale on all of their records they were selling, like 33% off. So I got this for like $7, which I think is quite the steal of a price. But yeah, the song on here with the title track, If You Have Ghosts, is really the selling point of owning this. And another good song on here is Waiting for the Night. But yeah, really not much else to talk about other than the artwork obviously being inspired by Nosferatu. But as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, again, more Nosferatu looking imagery, and just comes on standard black vinyl. Then I have their third full length, Meliora, which honestly I would say this is the best Ghost album out of the 4 full lengths they have done. Because even though this really isn't a metal album, and to be honest, really, besides Opus Eponymous, really nothing about Ghost is all that metal for the most part, I would say. Like, this album right here is more like a hard rock album that kind of borderlines sometimes on metal, but it's, I don't know, it's definitely not a metal album. And I think that's why it pisses off a lot of fans. If Ghost just straight out said, yeah, we're not a metal band, we're a rock band, I feel like people wouldn't shit on them as much because they just want to, they always want to complain about something with this band. But anyway, this song right here, just every track is so incredibly infectious. Everything they utilize up until the point of this album, they just really expanded upon, and man, it works for them so well. The tracks on here, like From the Pinnacle to the Pit, He Is, Mummy Dust, Majesty, which is one of my personal favorite tracks, and the outro track is actually, I think, the best song they ever wrote, which is Deus in Absentia, is easily the best song, how it lines up with the clock ticking. These songs are so fucking infectious that, to be honest, now that I'm looking at this record and holding it, after I'm done recording this video, I'm putting this on the turntable because, fuck, I forgot how good this album is. But, yeah, other than that, you guys should all know about this album. I know a lot of people talked about it when it was released back in 2015. Yeah, wow, it's already been that long. And pretty accessible to get. I'm pretty sure every record store you've ever walked into, you'll come across this in the metal section of the LPs and CDs. But as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes with a big ass booklet with band picture in the middle right here and artwork for each song which is pretty cool looking. Printed inner sleeve, once again with a band picture and lyrics on the back side of it, and just comes on standard black vinyl. Another bootleg I have by Ghost, and this is the last bootleg I have by them, is The Tomb of Ghost, which kind of looks like a comic book right here. Yeah, once again, Armageddon had this, and I just felt like I had to jump on the opportunity of getting them. Because again, all Ghost bootlegs are really, really hard to come by. And it's another live show, but this time it's in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden, on November 13th, 2015. So obviously they're playing in a bigger crowd. It's in Sweden, their home country. So I'm assuming they're a lot bigger over there, and the audience is way more than just a couple hundred. But yeah, it's a mixture of all the songs from the previous 3 albums. It's not just the debut album. Tracks in here like From the Pinnacle to the Pit, Ritual, Devil Church, Year Zero, Absolution, If You Have Ghost, Monstrous Clock, all the good stuff, all played on a live show. But other than that, for the layout and packaging, once again it was put up through Reek of Death. So you have album artwork, backside, double LP that come on these red vinyl, limited to 350 copies. Continuing on with even more Ghosts, this is another EP by them, that being Hope Star. All cover tracks other than the opening track, which is Square Hammer, originally done by Ghost, which is really the only selling point for me with this, plus, you know, kind of being a collector scum with this band. The only cover track on here I really like is their cover of Missionary Man, originally done by the Eurythmics, because everything else really didn't grab me all that much with it. So it's really an LP that's more of a novelty to the collection than anything else, and that's really all I have to say about this. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. And the final thing I have by Ghost is their latest album, that being Prequel, released back in 2018. One thing I vividly remember about this album's release was when it dropped and the album artwork was shown, so many people were just bitching and moaning about it, because the album artwork of this is very similar to that of a Sepultura release from years past. And so many people are acting as if they're ripping them off, they're scumbags, blah, blah, fucking yada, yada, blah, blah. And my question to all those people that were complaining is, where the fuck have you been for the past 10 years with this band? Because they, like, no exaggeration, from the full lengths, the EPs, the 7-inches, and everything in between, look at the album artwork by Ghost, and it always pays homage to something of that of pop culture. So I don't understand what the big fucking deal is here, other than it's a metal band, and it's the world's ending. Seriously, like, metal fans just love to bitch and moan and complain about Ghost all the time, every chance they get, that I can bet my life on it that when Ghost releases their 5th album, they're gonna find something to complain about it. I can bet my life on it. But anyway, as for the music on this album, I would say it has more of like a stadium rock type of feel to it. Again, it doesn't really have like a metal sound, but a lot of these choruses and riffs sound like something that would be like stadium rock. Like tracks on here like Rats, Dance Macabre, Witch Image are all great examples of that. One track on here that I really cannot stand is See the Light. Oh, the lyrics for it and how the dude sings, it's so fucking corny. I've always hated this song. Like, every time I listen to this album, I have to skip over the track See the Light. But one song on here that's really interesting is Miasma. It's an instrumental track, and really one of the better instrumental tracks, because Ghost's instrumental tracks from years past haven't really been that good. But what makes this interesting is it's very upbeat, along with the fact, too, that there's a saxophone solo at the end that, I don't know, it's quite the standout for them. But another track on here I really didn't care for as well, too, is Life Eternal. It's kind of very anticlimactic for the last track, because one thing that's always sold me about Ghost albums is the outro track is always like the climax for the album, and this one just felt very anticlimactic. But regardless, overall, just another solid album by Ghost, and I'm eagerly awaiting to see what they'll do next. As for the layout and packaging, you have this album artwork right here, backside with the track listings. Comes with an A2 poster of the album artwork, as well too a printed inner sleeve with lyrics and band picture. This LP comes on clear with some type of like smoky black swirl going on. As well too comes with a 7-inch of bonus material with a printed inner sleeve, and again the LP for this is of the same color and variant as the 12-inch I just showed. Yay! Finally done talking about Ghost, so now I get to go back to talking about really obscure metal that you guys can discover. Sorry to tell you guys, we're talking about more metal that probably all you guys know, that are probably you're all sick of hearing it from, and you're gonna call me a poser because I like popular stuff. Oh no. But anyway, next up is going to be Ghostbath with their debut album, Funeral. I've always had such a soft spot for Ghostbath because for depressive suicidal black metal standards, I think their compositional work is genuinely good. Like, it genuinely does feel like there's like real emotion being driven out of their riffs and melodies and just overall songwriting, that it's like melancholic as it should be for the style of depressive suicidal black metal. And I know a lot of black metal fans will love to shit on this band, which some of it's justified, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. But I just think musically, they've always sounded really good. But as for the gimmick of this band, there's just some stuff I can't really defend them on. Because if you noticed on the album artwork, there's some Chinese lettering right there. And on the backside, it's the same deal. Now you're probably thinking, alright, it's a depressive suicidal black metal band from China. Nope. But around 2015, when they started gaining a following, they admitted to all their fans that they're actually from North Dakota. So they played with the gimmick that, yeah, we're from China. Look how cool and interesting we are as a band, being a black metal band from China. Ooh, so different and interesting. Like, what a stupid gimmick. And another thing, too, that, again, I have a soft spot with this band, but I can't defend them for it, is the vocals. For me, personally, the screaming and shouting just adds like an extra layer of misery and torment and depression for the music. But that being said, all the vocals are is just a scream. There's no lyrics. That's all it is. And it's just like, I can see why people hate it and, you know, shit on it. But to me, I kind of understand the concept, but maybe I'm just getting really pretentious when talking about Ghostbath. But anyway, as for the music, honestly, I would say if you want their best compositional work, go to this album. It's easily the most monumental and just well-written overall. That feels very, you know, immersive for a depressive suicidal black metal album. But anyway, this was a self-release by the band on their Bandcamp. Snagged it up right away because I'm pretty sure it's like limited to like 300 copies, and again, it was on their Bandcamp, so I had to get it. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork. Once again, the backside with the track listings. Comes on a gatefold, and this LP pressing comes on this kind of like lime greenish white and black splatter. The only other release I have by Ghostbath is their follow-up album, Moon Lover. This is one of the first ever black metal albums I really obsessed over, because I know I'm going to make a lot of my viewers cringe right now by stating this. But again, I got into black metal and more obscure sounding metal bands around the time of like the end of 2014, beginning of 2015, which if memory serves me right, this was released around the beginning of 2015, and I remember obsessing over this album when it was originally released, because it was the song on here, Golden Number. And you guys should all know the melody that kicks in around the middle part of that song, that I was just so blown away by it and fell in love with this album right there. As well, two other great tracks on here are Beneath the Shade Tree. The Silver Flower Part 2, and Death in the Maiden I would arguably say is the best song they've wrote on this album. But other than that, I remember getting this the day of its release when it was put up for pre-order on Northern Silence Productions. So yeah, this is actually a first press right here, because I know right after they really exploded with some popularity in the underground with this album, they immediately got signed to a Nuclear Blast, which I would never expect a label that big to sign a band like this. But yeah, strange things do be happening in the metal scene. Anyway, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listing, comes on a gatefold, and this LP pressing comes on clear, or the Moon edition of it, which is limited to 100 copies. And the final record for this vinyl collection part is actually something that isn't metal or rock related, although I will admit this is probably the record you guys should all be checking out within this part, and that would be the debut full-length by Ghostly Kisses. It's self-titled, and man, this album is so gorgeous. Ghostly Kisses, if memory serves me right, they're from Canada, and it's a blend of, like, I guess you could call it dream pop, that is just so surreal, euphoric, that it's just pure bliss, this album. It is an album that I think is meant to be listened to, from my own experiences, after just a really rough day at work, and you just really want something to, like, massage just your soul, basically, to just relieve all the stress from your body. That's what kind of album this is right here, or just musical project in general, and I absolutely adore this album from beginning to end. Tracks on here like The City Holds My Heart, Touch, What You See, Spellbound, which is my personal favorite song on here. And they also did a cover of Zombie, originally done by the Cranberries, which is absolutely gorgeous of a track, because I hate that song. I've always hated the song Zombie by the Cranberries, but here Ghostly Kisses does it in such a, again, a surreal and blissful way that I absolutely love it. So yeah, really for me personally, this is an album that is a must listen. I don't care if you're all about metal and that's all you listen to is extreme music, you know, non-stop. It's an album that I feel like is just meant to, like, unwind and just be like to the whole time, basically. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty sure this is still kind of fairly easy to get. It's originally put out through a Return to Analog, and it's limited to 500 copies. I got number 452 out of 500, and yeah, it's still available, so get them while you can, because I'm surprised this is still available and hasn't sold out yet. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside of the track listings. Comes on a standard black vinyl with an insert sheet, again basically identical to the jacket, of album artwork and song titles and track listings. Alright guys, that's it for this vinyl collection part. Like always, everything I talked about will be in the description below, all linked up. And yeah, that is that. So like always guys, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated, and have a great day.